Hi, this is Beth Accomando, and I just emerged from McKamey Manor. I wanted to do a story on it, and Russ McKamey said I could come out there if I allowed him to blindfold me and to drive me out to the secret location. I thought once I was at the secret location, I would just get to sit down and do some interviews, but I had to go through what they called the Sissy Tour. And even though it was the Sissy Tour, I had some pretty creepy, disgusting, and scary things happen. So be watching for my story on KPBS.
Hello, fellow coffee consumers and crime connoisseurs. Welcome to the 28th episode, the Halloween episode of Mugshot Mornings, where we explore true crime one sip at a time. Today's story, I know that I already had a small disclaimer, but this is more for the audio-only listeners. Today's story is going to be pretty graphic. There are going to be a lot of very intense topics that we're talking about today that are claimed to be fake, so this could be very triggering for some people, so please just proceed with caution. If you haven't already guessed by the title of this video, you've probably already even heard about this dude, okay? You probably already know what I'm about to say, what I'm about to talk about, but still, proceed with caution. Today's story is one that I have been down a rabbit hole since probably 7th grade, when all of this was taking place, when he was kind of at his peak, if you can even call it that, his peak. I remember seeing this and like showing my friends, and they're all like, oh, we're gonna do it, because we just thought it was fake. But anyways, I fall down this rabbit hole every single year, and I know that other people have also fallen down this rabbit hole every year. Yes, today we are talking about the infamous McKamey Manor. So every October, thrill seekers, far and wide, all across the globe, maybe more in America, but they line up in this line to be scared. They pay to scream, to feel their pulse race, to walk away laughing when it's over with their partners, their friends, whoever. It's normally supposed to be just a fun time during Halloween. But there's one haunted house that isn't about fun, and no one laughs when it ends. McKamey Manor calls itself the most extreme haunted attraction. There are no actors there that are in rubber masks, no fake blood, no scripted jump scares. What happens there is real. To enter, guests must sign a 40-page waiver. They're warned about drowning, getting their bones broken, and psychological trauma. Then they're blindfolded, bound, and pushed into hours of torment, all for the chance to prove that they can survive it. Its creator calls it performance art. Its critics call it abuse. On this night, the episode that comes out right before Halloween, we step past the gates of what is truly happening inside of McKamey Manor. Hi! Okay, Halloween's my favorite time of the year. Before we get started, you'll know what time it is. It is Coffee Talk. Coffee Talk, for the new listeners, my name is Sydney. I sit down, talk about true crime, conspiracies, cults, whatever you want. I am the host of Mugshot Mornings. I do all of the editing, all of the filming, the research, everything myself. And one thing y'all should know about me is my absolute dying love for espresso, this stupid little brown bean that you can grind up, and it keeps me going every single day. So I talk about a coffee, and I try to do a new one every single time. Today, it's not new. I kind of did a little twist to it, but it's not technically new, but I do have it in a Halloween cup. Doing like the YouTubers do. I made a iced caramel and vanilla latte with oat milk, and then there is a keto cold foam on top of it. I'm not actually doing keto. I just found it. Like, I'm not actually doing a keto diet, but I am on a diet, so. And then homemade caramel is in it. Homemade vanilla? No, because that's very expensive. But yeah, I have already tried it. I know I try it with you guys first, but I needed it. Today has been a long day. Bitch, I just chugged half of that. That shit is delicious. Kind of to update, this past weekend we had our Halloween party. It was our 4th annual Halloween party. And I did not get a picture with my husband, even though we dressed as the same character. We were the movie Us by Jordan Peele. We just basically wore red jumpsuits. He didn't put anything around his eyes, but that's okay, because Aaron's not as into Halloween as I am. He's just there to have fun. But I put like black around my eyes and like carried on scissors. I have one picture, and it's with my friend Journey, who came as an Oompa Loompa. So everybody did so good. Everybody did so good with their costumes. I absolutely enjoyed it. A couple of our friends were the Matrix. My friend Madison and her husband were white chicks. So he dressed like in a wig and like put on a bra and stuff. It was amazing. Everybody did so good. We invited our next door neighbor, just to be friendly. He came as Zeus. Awesome costume. He looked great. My friend Morgan, who's the one who did these cool nails, and if you can't really tell because my camera stopped, that's fine. I will put a picture. These are my Halloween nails. Morgan, you're amazing. I know you listen to this, and please know that I'm so in love with you. She came as Fiona, and she was green. This Halloween party was so good. I'm so excited. Okay. And then I will be traveling to Texas this week to be with family for a family matter. Don't need to get into it. Just keep depending on whatever God you pray to. If you don't believe in any God, whatever it is that you do to send good vibes to people, please send that towards my family. We did have a family member pass away, so I will be gone this week to Texas. So just pray or send good vibes to me for like safe travels and just my family and the grieving process at this time. Today's story, okay, I guess you already seen by the title, and if y'all already know about it, I'm kind of giving just a brief summary, a brief synopsis. There have been so many YouTubers that have really gone in depth with multiple videos, because it can be broken down into like 95 parts, and I'm not going to do that. Y'all know what we do here. So mine's kind of research that I have pulled for several weeks over the documentary that came out on HBO, the YouTuber specifically is Danny Burke and Reckless Ben, who infiltrated McKamey Manor. So, watch those videos. And there is another person that I will link down in the description that I also got a lot of information from as well, based off of her many videos that she did. So please know this is just research I've found online, YouTubers' videos, a lot of different things that have gone into researching for this video. So this is not new news, okay? This haunted house is not your typical haunted house. When you think of haunted houses, you think of going into a haunted house with your friends, where there's a line. You're there, besides standing in line, you're there 30 minutes max. I mean, that's pushing it. Most haunted houses that I've been to have only been like not even 15. We're also like in Podunk, Arkansas, so there may be bigger ones somewhere else, but they're altogether probably less than an hour. You're walking through the typical jump scares, and then you leave with just a racing heartbeat. Those are fun for normal haunts or thrills, typical for your Halloween, your October, sometimes September months, besides the fair or whatever. These are all like fun activities that you do for Halloween. Even whenever you go to theme parks that have Halloween Horror Nights or Fright Fest or whatever they do, those haunted attractions, although scary, are still really fun and tame for the most part, because it's someone just jumping at you, and they're not allowed to touch you. They're not allowed to grab you, physically harm you. They can get close and uncomfortable, but that's about it. Today's haunted house, we're not even going to call it that. Today's attraction, we'll use that. The footage that is found looks like it's something straight out of a horror movie. And I know people are probably like, oh, that's all haunted houses. This isn't a horror movie being filmed. Like, this isn't where there's safeguards. There's on-scene EMTs. It's not real harm being brought upon a person. All fake. To get into who is the founder of McKamey Manor, well, his name is Russ McKamey. Russ McKamey, who is the founder, the owner of this haunted attraction, is a sadist. I'm not even going to beat around the bush. That is exactly what he is. He makes content for masochists and other sadists and is just a piece of shit human being. But let's kind of get into the background of him and how McKamey Manor started. He was in the Navy for over 20 years, so maybe this is where a lot of this feelings stem from, but from a young age, Russ loved Halloween. He would decorate his parents' garage for Halloween, and he would also go around scaring the kids in his neighborhood. In college, he studied theater before going into the Navy, where he would create different haunted houses while out on the ocean for everyone to enjoy. So he would create like makeshift haunted houses on the ship for the other sailors to, kind of have fun. And I couldn't find if this was only during Halloween or if this was just in general, just to have something to do during the downtime. But he loved Halloween from a very early age. He was also in a band and was known to be a pretty good wedding singer, which is kind of crazy to think about, having a wedding and having a wedding singer that turns out to be a really piece of shit human being, but whatever. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. He claims to be a normal guy who just loves Halloween. He doesn't drink. He doesn't cuss. He just prides himself on all of these really great things from start to finish, still to this day. Russ created McKamey Manor to be an extreme haunted house and claims it to be not your standard boo haunted house. On the website, it literally says, "This is an audience participation event in which you will live your own horror movie. This is a rough, intense, and truly frightening experience. You must be in great health to participate." He wanted this to be created as a legal torture chamber. Now, this all started back in San Diego in 2001. I also read different sources that stated that it went back to 1989 and also 1995. But the most notable and thing that I could find was in 2001. FearNet back in 2007, an old YouTube channel that I couldn't see any other videos recently, so I guess it's just a dead channel, actually did a video about McKamey Manor in 2007. And from my understanding, this is what kind of stemmed the start of Russ wanting to make videos about McKamey Manor and start his own YouTube channel, which he did in 2009. Russ had a normal haunted attraction at first that he ran through his own home during the month of October, where even kids could come through the attraction, and Russ's wife, children were just super heavily involved in this business. It started off like normal Halloween haunted houses. There were animatronics, it was fake blood, and it was pretty tame, but by 2005, he was all across news stations as being a good haunted house to explore, and low-key, of course, depending on the family friendly, because kids were able to attend. For years, Russ kept this haunted attraction going, but he wanted to push the limits every single year. He stated, quote, "I felt I needed to outdo myself. Every year, I'd expand the show and make it more interactive, and people loved it. It's hard to go back once they're hooked." Now, he did start, like I said, the McKamey Manor YouTube channel back in 2009, and this is where he would make a tour compilation to where it looked like it was a horror movie, and it was really cool. It was, virality around this time was pretty popular. If you even got like 100,000 views, people would claim that to be a very viral video just for this time. And because the news stations kind of gave him popularity, the community, word of mouth, he quickly grew into views because it looked like a horror movie. It looked like people could watch this movie for free, not even realizing this was actually his haunted attraction that he owned and ran. He was being featured between 2009 and 2011 repeatedly on different news outlets as being one of the best haunted houses in the country due to the super long waitlist of 27,000 people. He had started to grow out of letting children come through the attraction and only allowed 18 and older to start attending the attraction. And the reason why is because he started to make it more intense. At first, it wasn't where people could touch them because, for one, there were kids there, but it was, your normal haunted house, a very tame, fearful haunted house, but you walk away feeling like, oh, that was fun, happy Halloween. But now it started to grow to where the actors could start touching the guests, and not just touching them, but they would like grab them and pull on their hair and get in their face, spit on them. It was getting very intense where people who wanted to come, who didn't want the normal tame haunted house, were able to go through this. And at first, people loved it. They really enjoyed it. Like I said, it was more like uncomfortable in nature, and this is also them getting poured fake blood on them. The videos Russ started posting became more intense because his popularity was growing, especially in the views of these videos. By late 2011, the videos being shown were pretty extreme. The attendees were being pulled down by the actors into the ground, being buried alive, lying in coffins with bloody actors, and much more. It doesn't seem like they were being hurt, though. It was just now the actors were being able to touch them in a more intense fashion. This was also around the time, going into 2012, that they now started to spit on the attendees or make them eat gross things like live bugs, make them drink an unknown black murky liquid, or even their own vomit if they threw up. They would literally make the attendees eat their own vomit. As you can see in this pattern, and also that is talked about in the Monsters Inside HBO documentary, or not HBO, the Hulu documentary, the workers, the friends of Russ basically said that the intensity that he was trying to grow each year was getting a little ridiculous. Russ was also given permission at Hazy Meadow Ranch to build his attraction there to have more room, bigger and better attraction, and that way he can get it out of his home. At the time, from like 2009 to 2012, it was shown to be 2 to 6 hours long. 2 hours minimum, whatever, but he said with this bigger and better, now it would last about 10 hours. However, this didn't last long. Russ had spent like 6 months preparing for this and spending a bunch of money on this attraction and at this ranch that he was given permission to build at, but it didn't last long because he didn't have the proper permits, and the city came in and shut it down, specifically because of a lot of the stuff that he was building. He didn't have a lot of safety precautions and a lot of safety measures, and the permits that he was supposed to get for this, he kind of was just going to see if he could get by because of how expensive it was and how long it took to get these permits. So all of this hard work for 6 months, he had to basically tear down and restart. Russ had allegedly put between $30,000 to $150,000 into this new build. Whether that's true, I don't know, because I don't know where he's getting this money from. We'll get into that in a second, but he's claiming I paid thousands and thousands of dollars for this build and I lost all this money, but according to something that I read, the IRS actually had filed something against his house that same year. Apparently, Russ had about $252,000 of unpaid income taxes, interest, and penalties for that tax year. So where he was getting all this money from, I don't know. This is also around the time that Russ was enforcing his waiver that in order for you to be able to go through the attraction, you have to undergo a psychological and physical exam by a medical doctor to be cleared that you are in good enough health, specifically your heart, to go through the attraction. In this waiver, it made people agree to force feeding, head shaving, being held underwater, being gagged and bounded, and much more. Around the same time, there were numerous complaints being made against Russ McKamey saying that he had an unpermitted business operating in a residential neighborhood that kept adding room additions and structures in the backyard, which were against the code for that area, and I think that specific neighborhood. One of the videos that I watched for this research was Reckless Ben, who I had mentioned in the intro. He had an interview with a woman named Christina where she actually states she's the one who called the city to tell them what Russ was doing. In 2013, he released a promotional video for Scare LA, which garnered 16 million views. Participants in this video were duct taped around their mouths and their eyes, submerged underwater in a water tank, locked in coffins, and verbally and psychologically tormented. Russ went on record to tell everyone that all of this was just for show, it was just for his promotional video, and everyone was safe. They all had agreed to it by signing this fucking waiver. At the same time, though, his actors that were volunteers were up and quitting left and right. Russ was making them do all of this horrible shit, and they were afraid that if someone were to file a lawsuit or tell police, they would be held accountable for all of their actions or held liable for all of their actions, and they didn't want to deal with that. Russ was being ran out of San Diego just because of the public opinion about him. He had very, very, very negative reviews and just people telling about their experience and everything, people complaining about everything in the neighborhood, the complaints made about unlawful things that he was doing in the backyard that he wasn't allowed to do, whatever. He tried to move his haunt to McLeansboro, Illinois in 2015, but due to the public who opposed this relocation, the building that Russ had supposedly bought or was renting out in McLeansboro was consistently getting vandalized. Locals began shooting out the windows and even gave death threats to Russ. No city, no community, no little country town, no rural town, I guess is what I'm trying to say, wanted McKamey Manor to operate inside their limits. No one wanted McKamey Manor. Because of all of the craziness that happened at the building in Illinois that he had tried to start his business in, he was so scared of the death threats that he actually left about $30,000 worth of equipment inside of the building and tried to claim that the building owner had stole it from him or refused to give it back and was trying to sell all of it. Is it really $30,000? I don't know, because a lot of the stuff, and if you look at Reckless Ben's video, a lot of the stuff looks really cheap. Like, and don't get me wrong, Halloween decorations are expensive, but this was also over 10 years ago where they probably weren't as expensive as they are now. I haven't actually talked about this. I thought that I had, but the way that you could go inside of this haunted house was not by profit. He claimed that he wasn't a businessman and this was all a nonprofit organization because all he wanted was a can of dog food or a 5-pound bag, a minimum 5-pound bag of dog food that he could donate to shelters. Also saw that he kept it for himself and his own dogs. That's also possibly true, but he wasn't making money from doing this. Now, was he making money from YouTube from all of his videos that were getting a lot of views? Possibly, I don't know. But I mean, his wife at the time, now his ex-wife Carol, was only a paralegal, so she wasn't bringing in that much money. I don't understand where all of this thousands and thousands of dollars is coming from, but maybe it's a hoax. I don't know. Russ was trying to plead with the people that were making up their minds about what they think went on inside of this haunted house, that he was just trying to explain that this was far from the truth. By 2017, Russ had successfully found a new place for his haunted attraction, Tennessee. Did he actually tone down the haunts, though, like he said he was going to? No. Up until his haunted attraction in Tennessee, Russ refused for people to have a safe word. If people were begging to leave, claiming their safe word, saying that they had told them what their safe word was, it didn't matter. On the website, it says no exceptions. You can't leave, no exceptions. You have to endure it until I say that you're done. He also told people that whoever finishes this attraction got 20 grand if you finish the whole 8 hours. But the thing is, time wasn't real. I mean, they could have endured 9 hours, but he only told them it was like 7. So that way he didn't have to give the prize to anybody. So the thing is, no one ever successfully finished the haunt, so he didn't have to give that money. Now, he did have to include a safe word. Apparently, he was now including a safe word whenever he moved his haunt to Tennessee. But in Tennessee, it happened to get more intense. He had now pushed it to a total of 36 hours of survival, but only allowing one participant at a time each week. The haunt was in 3 separate parts. The first part was enduring intense physical activity. If they make it through without quitting, they were then sent to Nashville through an attraction called Caetus Silvis, which is Latin for murder in the woods. If the guests made it through that, then they are taken to the final stage, McKamey Manor, which is in an undisclosed location in Huntsville, Alabama. But no one has made it through the murder in the woods. He said whoever does make it through the murder in the woods and makes it to McKamey Manor, it is only psychological torture. While in Tennessee, the neighbors have reported hearing intense screaming, chainsaws, and other loud disturbances since he moved in. One person told a news station that she saw a woman being dragged behind a truck by a chain wrapped around her neck. There was another time that police had shown up at the house after there was a suspicion of an alleged abduction that had happened, and the victim was at McKamey Manor. They had their weapons drawn and aimed at the house and everything, but it turned out it was an abduction, but it was a part of the waiver that everyone had signed, that you meet us here, specifically like at a park or something, and we're going to drive to you and kidnap you and put you in the van and take you to the first phase. At this time, the extremism, I can't really tell if it had actually turned more extreme. And there's the timeline with a lot of the things that the videos, they're just talking about all the things they endure. I can't tell if this started at Tennessee or if it started towards the end of his location in San Diego. But at this time, people were being physically beaten. They were having teeth pulled. They were having their head shaved. They were having their bones broken, eyes swollen shut, cuts on their head. They were smashing teeth, extracting teeth. Some participants even having their bones broken and other heinous things. I also read that, and I don't know if this is true. Please know that this is alleged. I couldn't find if this was someone just exaggerating the story a little more. But I also read that there was a victim. Please note, like I said, I don't know if this is true. I'm not saying that I don't believe the victim. I need to stress that right now. I read that one victim had a knee surgery and there were knee pads placed inside of her knee, and then, they stitched her back up. They cut open that scar from her knee and took those out and made her crawl around on the ground. I know that y'all have watched the videos if you are on YouTube and you're watching the visuals. I know that the stuff that y'all have seen, that's not that far-fetched from a lot of the shit that they were making these people do. Besides people having their head shaved, one victim even said that she felt like she was getting scalped, which is just an insane part of horror that if that ever happens in horror movies, I'm out. I can't do that. And a lot of y'all are probably wondering, because I was also wondering, like, what about the fucking waiver? Why did people sign the waiver? I watched videos of them going through this and one person shoving the waiver back in their face and being like, nope, you signed it. You said that you would do this. You said we could do whatever that you were going to be subjected to. You know what you were going to be dealing with. So a lot of people thought, oh my God, I have signed this waiver. I have allowed them to do whatever. There's no way out of this. I can't sue. I can't tell police. They didn't go through with the proper legality because they were so afraid of everything. But in reality, this man wasn't running a true business. He didn't have the proper business insurance, the business lawyers, everything like that. So the waiver was just bullshit. It didn't go through the proper legality of it being stemmed from the business standpoint, so that if it fell back on the business, whatever, meaning basically what I'm trying to say is the liability is not real. Signing a waiver does not mean that it is legal or okay. Even if you sign a document saying, I'm fine with whatever happens, I agree to it, that doesn't mean that the person or company can do something illegal against you. They still are going to have the appropriate consequences if something were to happen. They can protect a business in accidents, such as if you were to be going through a haunted house and you twisted your ankle. They would be protected by saying you signed the waiver, meaning, hey, if you do happen to hurt yourself, breaking your ankle, for an example, we're not liable for that. And it does protect the business that way. It does not protect the business when it comes to shaving, shoving something down your throat where you can't breathe, waterboarding. It is not, in those words, protecting you from that. Like, it's not, you didn't sign up for that. Like, you did, but you didn't. You know what I mean? A lot of the comments that I saw where people were like, hey, they signed up for it. Yeah, they did. But if you look at it, a lot of people talked about how they thought that this was all for show and it really wasn't going to happen. Like, maybe when they got there before the video cameras came on, Russ was like, hey, for my videos, I want you to scream and I want you to, make it look really, really real. This is what we're about to do. It's only going to last a couple seconds and I'm going to take it out and then make sure you're good before we move on. A lot of people believed that that was what was going to happen. They didn't believe that this was really what was going to go on. Also, the 27,000 named waitlist that I had mentioned earlier, all a lie. All a lie. The waitlist was completely false. According to Russ's ex-wife, it was a tactic to get people excited and have FOMO. So there were many stories and even YouTubers on here who reached out and were accepted within 24 hours. There were also tactics on some people like last minute cancellation, you have to come in tomorrow during their time slot or you're going to lose your chance. This happened to a 19-year-old named Gabriella Hardiman who was chained inside a freezer, had a tarantula put on her face, and she experienced a severe panic attack during her time inside McKamey Manor. She also recalls being in a straitjacket and lying in a pool of water, but the cops had shown up because someone called in loud screaming. In 2017, Gabriella went on YouTube to make a video discussing her case and how horrible Russ was, but she had to take it down only after 2 days because Russ and his followers were hating and bullying her so intensely. Also, it was proven that Russ was sending people to go and attack people. He was genuinely telling people, if anyone shows any hate to me, go find that person. He's in an interview literally saying, oh yeah, I do that. And also, we are going to find your address and we're going to dox your address, and whoever shows up, hey, just be prepared. I don't know what they're gonna do, but and it's like you are like the fucking master manipulator, the puppeteer. Like, fuck you. Sorry, I'm getting mad. At this point, we're all wondering, why hasn't he been shut down and arrested for all of this stuff that he's doing? Unfortunately, there have been multiple petitions to have him shut down. There has been so much public backlash and petitions for many years that in 2023, Hulu did release a documentary called Monster Inside, America's Most Extreme Haunted House. And this, I watched actually yesterday. This presented like firsthand accounts from the victims about the torture and trauma that they went through. One girl on there also talked about how she went through the haunt and then got like hired on, and she was running the social media. She was actually running the Facebook page. Oh my god, the Facebook fucking page. But because of this documentary, Russ filed a lawsuit against Hulu stating that it was a complete invasion of privacy and he really just did not like this documentary being put out about him, but at the same time, it's like, who fucking cares? Okay, don't do bad things and bad things won't come back to you. Karma, you know, like, look it up. An investigation was also being conducted by the Tennessee Attorney General Jonathan Skrmetti, in which Russ turned around and filed another lawsuit against him. So now Russ is just suing the hell out of anybody that talks bad about him. The lawsuit that he had put against Hulu was dismissed in 2024. Apparently, they both agreed amicably about, you know, how to proceed with the lawsuit and complete it, finalize it, whatever. I don't know if there was an undisclosed amount. I don't know what happened. It was, his lawyers came out and basically said it was very amicable and everybody was professional. What happened? What happened? That same month, also in August 2024, the lawsuit that he had made against the Tennessee Attorney General Jonathan Skrmetti, I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right, that was also dismissed for some reason. Don't know what happened there. At least nothing that I could find told me exactly what happened. But the thing is, if he was doing something for so long and wasn't doing anything illegal, why was he so defensive and worried about these documentaries and the investigation started against him? If you're not doing anything illegal like he claims, he's not doing anything bad and illegal, why are you so pressed? Now, this is a whole series on itself. If I could sit down and talk about the whole video about Reckless Ben, I would, but it'd be a long video. So before I kind of just give a summary of what happens with Reckless Ben, go watch those videos. Very good videos. How true they are, I don't know. Reckless Ben, don't come after me. I'm just saying, like, he has the video, or he has the people that were in the Hulu documentary come on, and he also, like, infiltrated it. They also got footage. It was like a, what is it called? It was a hard drive of all of the footage before he edits and puts it into his YouTube channel. And it was proven that a lot of his videos were hoaxes. He had literally hired actors to come at least at the end. I don't know if it was at the beginning, but at least towards the end where he saw that his channel was dying and nobody was really talking about it anymore, he hired 2 separate actors to come onto his channel and made them pretend to, like, scream and that they were kidnapped, but the things that they had, like, agreed to weren't actually what happened. So he did more than what they had talked about. In the footage, they did not consent to having the stuff done, which shows that although the video is fake because he hired an actor just to have his freaking viral video, it actually is completely illegal what Russ is doing. The 2 actors that he hired did not consent to what happened in the video. In July 2024, Russ McKamey was arrested for allegations made by his ex-girlfriend. He was facing charges of attempted second-degree murder, rape, and domestic assault. And according to police, this was not his first accusation. An arrest affidavit alleged that Russ had raped and strangled his girlfriend to the point where she lost consciousness. But in September 2024, all of the charges were dropped. Apparently, the allegations had no merit or evidence whatsoever, according to DA General Brent Cooper. Again, if you look at Reckless Ben's video, they talk about how the authorities seemed really corrupt and there's something weird going on at the Tennessee police station or wherever the county they are in. It just seems like no matter who complains or who sends in footage or proof, it's just not taken into consideration. He also told Daily Mail that in October 2024, the attraction would be returning, stating, "If all of those crazy, horrible things said about me are true, I wouldn't be free, running around doing what I want to do." Now, to conclude the video, there have been many petitions to shut down McKamey Manor, over 200,000 signatures in 2019 alone to have him shut down. But as of right now, you can watch the exit interviews of people who have went through their own personal tour. I'll have a few added in here.
I got another makeover today, the official McKamey Manor makeover. I got another makeover today, the official McKamey Manor makeover. I just gonna keep this short. It's actually hard to talk. As you can see, my lips are severely swollen. A little swollenness of the cheek. New haircut. Looks like I got a little gash on my forehead. I wanted to say that the McKamey Manor is no joke. It's something it sounds good. You know, you sign up for it. You want to do it. You want to experience it. You get excited. You get a little nervous. But when you actually do it, and when the actors first get a hold of you, you immediately regret your decision. It's instant regret. Russ tells you a million times during the waiver signing portion that you really don't want to do it. As you can see, I don't know too many people who would really want this to happen to them. This is what you if this is what you want, then go ahead, sign up for the manor. But I promise you, you really don't want to do it. You really, 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 really don't want to do it.
Alright, so I was doing some research on YouTube, and I guess videos of girls talking about their shaved head is kind of a popular thing. So I thought I'd go ahead and pitch in my 2 cents. I've always kind of wanted to shave my head. Like, I loved Natalie Portman in V for Vendetta, and I loved G.I. Jane. I thought there's a certain aesthetic to it. Just like a badass, military, futuristic, sci-fi kind of, just that whole vibe going with it. So I've always wanted to shave my head, but I never actually had the balls to do it. My head is just recently shaved from doing McKamey Manor. And if you haven't looked that up, or if you don't know what that is, that's pretty much considered the most extreme haunted house. And one of the things they did there is shaved my head. And if you want to see all those gory pictures, you can find them. They're online. Don't make me do the hard work for you.
Hey everyone, this is Laura Brotherton coming to you live from my hotel room after I just entered the McKamey Manor chamber. Wow. As you can see by the way I look, my lips, this is no joke. It's no laughing matter. For all of you that really want to do this, trust me, you don't. You do not want to do this. It's terrifying. It's so hard. I can't really explain what I went through, but let me tell you, it was crazy. I'm a little shaken up, so I'm having a hard time bringing myself to come to words. My face hurts pretty bad. I can't tell if my nose is broken, but you can see my lips. My tattoo got torn. My knee, if you can see it. This is so intense. Oh God. I really don't have much words to say right now.
That are probably the most heartbreaking, the most scary of just what they had to endure, but they are very vague about it. There's one named Lori B who has like a man standing in the hallway, and everyone is like in the comments saying like she's showing exactly, like she showed a tattoo at some point and they're like, oh, she's showing that on purpose to protect herself because of that man in the hallway. There's just some sketchy shit going on. And as of right now in 2025, McKamey Manor has not been shut down. As of October 2025, I couldn't find anything within at least the recent months as to what's going on with Russ besides him being arrested last year. But yeah, that is the intense story of this absolute fake haunted attraction that is trying to be disguised as a haunted house made for horror movie fans and thrill seekers or whatever. No, you're hiring, and the thing is, the actors that are helping Russ out by doing these to the people are volunteers. So it's obviously people who are just feeding into these fetishes that they have of wanting to hurt people without having legal repercussions. Now, like I said, I don't know how many people actually have been hired as actors, but even the people who were hired as actors had stuff done to them that they didn't consent to. You have head shaving, almost drowning, waterboarding. One girl had a spider put on her face after Russ told her, or in her interview that she had before she came, Russ was asking her what her biggest fear is. He's just tormenting these people for fun, and he's gotten away with it for 20 years at this point. And if you started it truly in 2001, I guess it didn't really get intense until like 2005, but still 20 years of being able to do all of this and being proved that some of this stuff was a hoax and just a lie. I'm glad that there's like a downfall of him right now, especially because there hasn't been much in the last year at least, so maybe we'll stop hearing about it. But why it hasn't been shut down and why the police have not looked more into it still baffles me. If y'all know any more about this case, remember this was just a brief summary about McKamey Manor and the story of Russ McKamey for Halloween. Please let me know down below. That is my deep dive, summarized, very condensed version of McKamey Manor to give to y'all this Halloween. I hope that y'all are safe tomorrow if you are going trick-or-treating with friends, if you are going to trunk-or-treat, if you are trick-or-treating with your children, if you're throwing a party, whatever you are doing, I hope that y'all stay safe. Please be safe. Halloween seems like it's a really fun time, but it can be really crazy and really scary and not in like the good way. So please be safe, have fun, eat all of the candy. My husband and I are going to go watch a scary movie because we don't have children, so we can't go trick-or-treating by ourselves. It'd be kind of weird, but I really appreciate you guys, as always, for tuning in with me. Yeah, sorry if today's story was really intense. I appreciate y'all staying if you did, and listening and watching. If you're on YouTube, please like, subscribe, and tell your friends. Leave a comment of any case suggestions that you have, or I have my email down below for case suggestions. That's where I got the Avion Lewis video, so if y'all haven't watched that, go watch it. That's a small case that needs more attention, and I think that's my most viewed video, at least for the podcast at the moment. And if you are on audio only listeners, for anybody that's listening on podcast only, please be sure to rate the podcast 5 stars and share, download it, comment, whatever you want. Do it with your friends, tell your friends, everybody share with your friends. And if you are not subscribed and you tune in, hit the subscribe button. I see that most of my listeners are non-followers and non-subscribers, so what y'all doing? Hey, come join. As always, thank you so much for listening. I hope that y'all sipped on y'all's coffee as much as I did if you are tuning in while driving to work. And I hope you'll have a great Halloween. Please be safe, and I will see you guys next Thursday. Bye.